Hi, my name is Josh Condren, and for my interview, I chose to interview a 30-year-old female who, as you will see, is a type 1 diabetic. Um, so, the biosensor that she is using is a glucometer. My first question was, how long have you been a diabetic? And she responded with, she's been a type 1 diabetic for 25 years, and she was diagnosed at the age of 5. Um, my second question was, how long have you used your biosensor? And she responded for 25 years, obviously, since she was diagnosed at the age of 5 and she's now 30. Um, my third question was, how long do you intend on using your glucometer? And she responded with, for the rest of my life, because I have to monitor my sugars, which, as we know, as a type 1 diabetic, is something that they have to go through daily. My fourth question to her was, what were your concerns when learning you were going to have to check your glucose levels? Um, and she kind of responded with she didn't really have any concerns initially, as she was only 5 years old. Um, but as she got older, her concerns were that she would forget to check them and they would become too high or too low without her knowing, which could result in hypo or hyperglycemia. My fifth question to her was, what are your concerns now with monitoring your glucose levels? And she responded that she didn't really have any, other than that at times it can become inconvenient for her. My sixth question was, what are some negative effects of using a glucometer? And she again responded with, at times it's inconvenient. And then she also said that it was embarrassing for her when she was younger to have to monitor her glucose levels. I then followed up with my seventh question, which was, what are some positive effects of using a glucometer? And she said that she feels much better because her sugars are well managed now, and so she doesn't have any or as many episodes of hypo or hyperglycemia. My eighth question was, do you struggle keeping up with checking your glucose throughout the day? And she responded with, it sometimes becomes a struggle when I start to become busy, but overall it is something I have gotten used to. So she lives a pretty active lifestyle, and so for her, it becomes kind of an issue when she starts to get busy doing her day to day activities. Um, my ninth question for her was, do you ever plan on getting an insulin pump to make things more convenient? As she's kind of been hinting that, sometimes it can be inconvenient for her. And she responded saying, not at the moment because insulin pumps are very expensive, and right now I am fine with checking my glucose manually. And so basically for her right now, the price that she has to pay for checking it manually, which is kind of the inconvenience, outweighs the actual price that it would be to get an insulin pump and keep up with all the supplies that come along with that. My 10th and final question for her was, do you feel that having to check your glucose throughout the day interferes with your everyday life? And she said, I don't know that I would say that it interferes, but it is definitely something that you have to plan for if possible and arrange your day accordingly. She then kind of went on to give me some scenarios about how sometimes, she'll plan to check her sugars, and obviously our days don't always happen as we plan, and she will have to kind of wing it, or sometimes she might not get to check her sugar right when she needs to because she just doesn't have time because something came up. So it did kind of sound like, in my opinion, that she would like to have an insulin pump, but as I stated before, they are really expensive, so that's just not something that she can do at the time. So that was my interview of the 30-year-old female who uses a glucometer.